marching, a sort of half goose step. This squad is drilling with Soviet 1891. Others are armed with Soviet submachine guns, the PPSh 41. All are completely Soviet equipped, steel helmets, uniforms, overcoats, and arms. 14.5 anti-rifles, obsolete in the Soviet Army, and plenty of 7.62 light machine guns. Soviet-made 45mm anti-tank guns. Motorcycles with submachine guns. Soviet ZIS trucks. 85mm anti-aircraft guns. And Soviet-made scout cars. Soviet Russia also gave the North Koreans similar uniforms and shoulder-board insignia. A second lieutenant was easily identifiable, as was a corporal. A major of North Korean armor wore the black one-piece uniform. The tank commander, sergeant, a gray coverall. Came graduation day for the North Korean Army, and generals rode out to review the troops. The Soviet military instructors made a snappy appearance on the parade ground, while their North Korean pupils had come a long way from their raw recruit days. And so in 1950, the Korean War was begun by the North Korean Communists. Like their red Chinese neighbors, the North Koreans are great believers in camouflage, using it on every possible occasion, and using it effectively. The North Korean Communists learned well the art of digging in. Tunneling into the side of hills, they lived underground for months. In spite of this, they had been thoroughly defeated by UN forces when the Red Chinese entered North Korea. The lessons learned by the Red Chinese command during the years of fighting in China proper now were put to a test against UN forces. Carefully pre-planned tactical maneuvers replaced liberation tactics. The U.S. soldiers who had experienced combat against the North Korean Communists found a new resourceful enemy. As in the past, the Red Chinese put to use everything left behind by UN forces. Mass assaults were replaced by well-planned company and platoon attacks against highly skilled UN military leadership. Under this pressure, the Chinese resorted to greater logistic support from Soviet Russia. World War II weapons were provided for ground troops. The Chinese communist soldier fought well in Korea, but military reverses and political considerations brought Red Chinese feelers, which resulted in the end of the war in Korea. In Indo China, the onslaught of the communists was held off for 7 years. Vietnam and French Union troops fought the same type of enemy which had faced the UN command and the nationalists in China. In 1954, after prolonged fighting through swamp and jungle, an armistice was signed, and Hanoi occupied by the communist Vietminh. A smiling Ho Chi Minh, Moscow-trained leader of the communist Vietminh command, arrived to sign the armistice papers, while his troops occupied the city. As in China and North Korea, the communist agitator was ready to lead the soldiers and civilians in so-called spontaneous cheering. Immediate attention is given the youngsters of Hanoi by a carefully coached boy who is molding his fellows into the communist pattern. The red flag over Hanoi cast its foreboding shadow of things to follow under the communist regime. And the new headquarters of the communist Vietminh displayed not only its flag, but Soviet-made jeeps and command cars. The division of Indo China gave the communists control of half the country. This is how the march of the communist armies in the Orient. Communism knows no boundaries. It is a world conspiracy in which the armies of Red China, North Korea, and Vietminh are political and military tools for further conquest. We must not underestimate the capabilities of communist military forces in the Far East. they have not abandoned their designs on the remaining free areas of Asia. With alertness and determination, the United States and our free world allies will resist further communist aggression in Asia.